Guys, a couple quick things before episode 7. Number one, I listened to it back and listen, there's some interruptions. My dog, my kid, I think that I carry the mic over and I drop and I set it down hard so you hear a loud bang. There's a couple spots in there where it sounds like I had a CTE moment, but I really didn't. I just had the mic on mute. So listen, I'm not going to edit any of that out. That's just my life. It's one big interruption and it's okay. So stick with the episode all the way to the end despite some mishaps. But that's raw. I'm not going to edit out life because that's just how it happens. Number two, spring break, the guy with the shithole garage, it's probably still a shithole. Allegedly, when he gets back, he's going to clean his garage. We'll see. I'm hoping for some pictures. I will drive to his house to confirm. But either way, we may see a clean garage by the end of the week, and we'll see how that goes. Number 3, don't ever apologize to anybody for your hustle, your grind, your vision, your enthusiasm, whatever it is. People are going to try to say, hey, listen, why don't you just tone it down a notch? And you don't need those people in your life. F them. I don't care if they're family or not. Like, if you show up to work in a good mood and your partner's in a bad mood, don't level down. Just keep on being you. It's their job to level up. Does that make sense? I don't care. Don't let anybody make you feel bad for choosing an apple over ice cream. The apple's the better choice every time. You do not make people uncomfortable. People are uncomfortable around you. And there's a difference, and understand that difference. If they can't keep up, leave them behind. You don't need them. Don't let anybody ever make you feel bad for it. All right, that's it. Enjoy episode 7. Bye. What's up, everybody? This is episode 7 of Shift Change Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Stanford. Today we're going to talk about teamwork making the dream work. A few updates. No real tech updates. Let's just have some life updates, should we? Excuse me. I'm out here in my garage gym. Let me know how it sounds. I think I kind of like the atmosphere. The real reason I'm out here is because my 15-year-old son is playing Fortnite, and that happens at the bottom of my stairs. And the stuff that I hear come from that place, from him, the sounds and the words and the phrases, the noises, it's unnatural. And I don't really care for you guys to hear it. So I'm out in the garage gym. I just wrapped up 24.2. By the time this airs, you'll all have known how I did or did not do on that workout, but that was a shit show. Man, God, I ain't going to walk right for a week after that one. So that's why I'm in my garage gym. It's kind of a cool setup. I like it. Some other updates. Last night I went to a funeral visitation for a dad of a friend of mine, EMS colleague. Seems to be the norm lately. Like, I'm going to a lot of friends' dads' funerals. But that's just where we are in life. I'm at that age. If life works out the right way, I'm next. My son, his generation is on deck. If it all works right. We all know that some of us may get there quicker than others. And that's the pisser of it. So that's where we are. The guy gave his life to EMS. His son is following in his footsteps. I think he's got a year on me as far as how long he's been a paramedic, but he's been in the game a long time. I don't know exactly how long he's been in EMS, but he's following in his dad's footsteps. He's making his dad proud. His dad was a staple, icon, legend in their community for his service to EMS and the fire service. So may he rest in peace. I'm going to do a whole show, I think, eventually someday on mortality, and if that ain't a real downer, I don't know what is, but I think we need to talk about it. We need to talk about the quiet part out loud. We need to get ready. It's happening. That whole saying that life is a journey, not a destination, I think is bullshit. Like, we're all going to get to the same place. It's just some of us are going to get there quicker than others. And we should talk about it. So, that being said, by now you've heard the first guest episode. I hope you have let me know how that goes. I had a lot of fun. Like, I think it's a good conversation. I think having conversation with people is important. I would rather much do it in that format than have you guys listen to me talk for 20, 30 minutes at a time. But we'll try to make it happen. I've reached out to some people and trying to get some good guests that are applicable to what we do and how we live. This is the first Saturday of spring break. By the time you hear this, most people will be back from spring break. I hope you had a great time. I hope everybody was safe. The Stanfords, however, we had a spring break fail. Turns out old dad hasn't been paying federal income taxes in quite some time, so that's life. We took that one on the chin, that's for sure. So this podcast, I think, needs to be more than about me regurgitating things I think up when I'm on the treadmill or on a walk or in the gym, and it needs to be also about how life happens. We're all doing life together, right? So, good lesson. Check your W-2s. Today we're going to do a topic, teamwork makes the dream work. Why we're doing this topic is because after the first one or two episodes, I think, I got an email from a listener that really asked me basically to do a topic on teamwork. And I'm going to read a couple excerpts out of the email, and I want you to, as we're talking, think about your own situations or scenarios where maybe your team hasn't quite worked out the way you wanted it to, and maybe some strategies that we can figure it out. Here's an excerpt from the first email. I'd love some episodes on teamwork, how to help be a great teammate, and how to help lead others to also be a great team player. I think it's second nature for some people and a hard thing to teach people who it maybe isn't so natural. I'm in an environment where some of my teammates are okay watching others carry the load, and I'd love some concrete ways to get everyone sharing the load. I was hoping being a good example would do it, but a year later, I'm in the same spot. We all know teamwork makes the dream work. Man, ain't that true. If you guys can hear my dog, I'm sorry, but she thinks there's somebody out here. So I'm gonna go let her out here, and she can join the podcast because I get tired of hearing that lady bark. Get out here. I should have put that mic on mute. That was my bad. All right, so let's get back to the email. Well, first, I think the first thing we need to do is define team. Okay, so are we in a unit? Are we a pair? Are we partners? Are we, get back, Jack. This is life. Are we a whole, stop it. Are we a whole shift? Are we one department? Are we in an office? I guess we need to define what our team is. And are we trying to be good teammates ourselves, or are we trying to create a culture of teamwork where it doesn't exist? That in itself is probably one of the tougher things. It's easy for us to be, givers, because that's kind of what we do for a living, is we serve others. That's the nature of our job. And it would be really hard to work around people that don't serve others. We'll get to that. I tell you what I tell my kids before every sporting event that they go out. So when they leave for school, I say, work hard, be kind. And when they get ready for a athletic event or a competition, I say, work hard, be a good teammate. And so what am I trying to get them to do when I say be a good teammate? I want them to show up early. Okay? I think if you're on time, you're late. I want them to be accountable for their actions. If they make a mistake, own it. Let's move on. Life is not void of mistakes. Athletic events are not void of mistakes. Everybody's going to make them. we're going to try to eliminate as many as we can, right? But everybody's going to make them. I want them to hold their teammates accountable. If somebody's coming off the field hanging their head because they just whiffed on strike 3 or whatever, I want them to encourage them. Hey, man, tough game. We'll get her next time, right? But if that person is not holding their own out in the field or making mental errors, I want them to hold them accountable. It's the same as I would want somebody to hold my kid accountable. The same way I want people to hold me accountable. I want them to challenge their teammates and say, hey, you can do better. Okay? We're here to win. Let's make it happen. You can do better. And I want them to be challenged. Whether they're getting outworked, I want them to see that they're getting outworked, and I want them to work harder. Whatever situation you can think of. I want them to encourage and cheer their teammates, even if they're having a bad day. My kid's 0 for 4. I don't care. I want us to celebrate the kid who's 3 for 3. I know it's not you, and I know it's hard sometimes. It certainly was hard for me to find perspective and gratitude and encouragement for people that were getting things that I thought that I wanted and I wasn't getting. It's a hard thing to do, to be happy for somebody else. It's super hard. But I want them to do that. I want them to high-five the person that just hit their second home run of the day when they're themselves have struggled at the plate. If we're struggling somewhere, let's be better somewhere else. Like, let's be useful, in the field or on the sideline or in the dugout or wherever we can add value to the team. Everybody's going to have a down day. And if we're down in one aspect, we need to pick it up in another. I want them to be coachable. I want them to accept criticism. I want them to say, you know what, you're right, coach. I have been deficient in this, and I'll pick it up. The same way I want myself to be coachable. I want people to come to me and say, hey, listen, I think you can do that better, and here's how. I'm in. Let's do it. I want them to do the work that others aren't willing to do. And I think that that's a huge thing, too, is anytime we're doing work that we're not asked to do, that's a flex. We're not above it. I'm not above it. They can pick up the trash in the dugout. I don't care if 5 kids have walked by that same empty soda cup. I want my kid to be the one to pick it up. I want them to be versatile. As part of being a good teammate is you may not get the role you want on the team. The role that you've been doing for the last 6 or 7, 8 years, you may have to switch it up, and that's the way you're going to add value to the team. And you can do 2 things: you can resist it and sit on the bench, or you can accept it and find a new way to get your butt on the field. And that's a big thing, especially in youth sports, but in life as well. Like, there's things that I am not good at my profession. But I know that I might be with somebody else who may not be good at that same thing, so I'm going to have to find a way to be good at it. I'm going to have to be versatile. We're going to have to switch it up a little bit. We're going to have to find things that that challenge us and make us uncomfortable, and then we're going to have to get good at it. It's just part of being on a team. I want them to know that there's nothing on this earth, there's no job that's beneath them. And I want my kids to treat everybody with respect. It doesn't matter if you're taking out the trash or you're calling the plays. I want them to be yes sir, no sir, thank you, please, to everybody. So that's what I want out of my kids, and it's the same thing for what I would want out of myself. It's hopefully if they learn those things as being a part of the team, that transfers obviously to the workforce, into whatever they're going to do, serving on committees, serving on boards, serving on small groups, being a good person when they're out in the workforce. That's all going to translate. Here's how I think of myself as a good teammate. And what I've learned lately is we don't often see ourselves the same as others see us. So if there's some discrepancy in how you think that I show up to work and how I think I show up to work, then by all means, tell me about it. But I want to go into every shift with a servant's attitude. I want my partner to think, I want them to tell me what they need from me that day, and I'll make my best to make it happen. It's really no problem for me give them what they need if that's going to make them successful that day. Happy to do it. I want to tell people they're doing a good job. Like, everybody wants to hear it, even the salty ones that just say, "Hey, listen, I don't need any sort of recognition. I just want to do my job and then go home because I know that I'm doing a good job and I don't need anybody to tell me that." I think that's horseshit. I think everybody wants to hear they're doing a good job, and I think it's important to tell people they're doing a good job in front of other people. Like, it's one thing to say, "Hey, I think you did a good job on that ambulance call or on that scene or on that flight or whatever you're doing," but I think it's also important to say it in front of people so that they get recognized by other people. Everybody wants to hear it. I try to do what I say I'll do. So if somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, will you do this?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, no problem. I want to make sure it gets done." Because how often do we see in our jobs it doesn't get done, and then we ask about it and we're like, "Hey, what happened?" And you're like, "Oh, I got busy," or, "I'm sorry, I forgot," or "You didn't forget, you just didn't do it." Like, no, nobody forgets that much in an 8, 12, 24-hour shift. You just didn't do it. You just didn't make time to do it. So let's own up and be accountable. But part of being a good teammate is doing what you'll say you'll do. If you say you'll deliver on something, deliver on it. When my teammates win, I win. So, if we all, anytime anybody does something to make your company, your office, your department, your program, your service look good, you look good. Like, that's just the way it is. And that's true in relationships. It's true with, parenting. It's true with marriages. My wife runs the 4A softball program here in our town, right? And it's a pretty high competitive conference. They've been in the state playoff 3 times. They have a winning culture. The standards are high. The expectations are high, man. And I support every bit of it, because when she wins, I win in a lot of different ways. And I think that that's the most important thing, is that we need to support each other, because when we do that as a teammate, when you support your coworker, everybody looks good. Here's more from the email. I want to make an impact and serve my patients, families, and coworkers. Good teamwork is super important in healthcare, not just for our patients, but for each other too. Knowing someone has your back is invaluable. Not sure how to build a culture of serving each other, but I'm guessing it takes a long time to do it. Not all teams are created equal. Some sports teams have a culture where they suck, and they suck for a long time. And let's use the Detroit Lions, for example. Like, it can take several years for there to be a winning culture. And secretly, I've always I've always rooted for the Lions. For whatever reason, they just, year after year after year after year, they suck. And I don't know why. And I think it probably had something to do with the culture inside the organization. I'm sure that they wanted to win, but, hoping you're going to win is not the same as acting like a winner. It could take 3 to 5 years to develop a winning culture or a culture of teamwork. So if you're not in that right now, in whatever business you're in or whatever department you're in, I think patience is the key. I mean, if you look back at the Lions 3 years ago, what were they, 1-15? And this year they were in the NFC Championship. And credit that to Dan Campbell, who is a savage and one of my favorite people that I've never met. He walked in there and said, "Listen, the losing stops now. We're going to be winners." And they had that first year where they were losers again, and that came to meet the expectation of the fans and the city. But then you could start to see the turn, and now they're winners, and it's a fun story to follow. But we're in year 3, so if you look at some of the research, you could say it take up to 3 to 5 years to change the culture. Well, they're right on pace with that. Actually, they're a little sooner. So not all teams are created equal. So if you're in, I've been on my high school football team was state playoffs several years, high level, had a bunch of winners on it. And I went to college, and that's and my football team in college was not successful. And despite having a bunch of good dudes on the team, I think I think a lot of it has to do with the people it attracts, maybe. And maybe I'm at fault for that too. I've been on low-level ambulance services where the standards are low, and I've been on high-performing programs where the standards are super high. And I think that, the high performers are going to stay away from the the low performers are going to stay away from the high-performing jobs because it's easy. Like if you go somewhere where the standards are low, the pressure's already off, right? Like you just have to go in and do the bare minimum, and all of a sudden you're, at least in that organization, whether it's a business or team or department or unit or whatever, one of the people that thrives in that. And the high performers are going to look for the jobs and the departments and the units that are high performers that have high standards. It's hard to go into a place where the culture's already set. If you're a high performer walking into a low performing business or a company and you're like, hey, I'm here, let's do some cool stuff. And everybody's going, let's not. Let's just do the status quo and hang out and collect our paychecks and go home. Well, how super frustrating is that for the high performer? So culture starts at the top. It starts with leadership. Look at the Detroit Lions. We'll go back to that. It started with the coach, Dan Campbell. Say, hey, listen, we're going to stop doing this. We're going to stop losing. Now, those losing teams throughout the years in Detroit probably had a couple people that really wanted to win and was like, no, I don't understand what we're doing here. But it had to come from a place of authority, right? Like you can't go into your job and tell your coworkers they need to do better you can, but it's awkward, right? Like you can't go into your job as a peer and be like, hey, listen, I'm not satisfied with how you're performing. You seem to be of the loser mentality. I am of the winning mentality, so I need you to fix your shit. If it's not coming from a place of authority or a place of leadership. So building a good team environment, I think, comes from the top. Comes from and so if you're not getting what you want out of your department, unit, service, or whatever, I would look at the leadership. And see what they're doing. Sorry, my 7-year-old just showed up for a second. All right, just muted there. Problem solved. Where was I? Not everyone is going to move at your pace. You guys know about the 80-20 rule, right? Like 80% or 20% of the people always do 80% of the work. Look around and see if you notice that now. If you've never heard of that, look around and see if you notice that. The 20% of the people are always going to be the ones that volunteer to do the committees or volunteer to do the research or volunteer to take on extra projects or volunteer because they want to see your company or business or unit or service thrive. Like those are the people. Those are the people that gravitate to the high standard, the high performing services and want to be good teammates for everybody else. And those are the people that you need to move towards. Probably everybody has them. Like, the smaller your company or the smaller your unit is, maybe the less you have. And I think a lot of it is units and services and things are built on together and teamwork on stress, right? So in my experience, the ER, the emergency room, is a bunch of people that are working together because they're experiencing the same stress. They're experiencing the same stimulus. And so they know what each other is going through, and they know what it means for somebody to step up and help them. If you're working in an office somewhere where maybe the stress isn't real high and it's just kind of a punch in, punch out kind of place, like, well, what benefit do I have of being a team player? There's really nothing to show any sort of teamwork. Like, Susie's going to do her thing and Timmy's going to do his thing. And at the end of the day, they're all going home. But in a high stress, high paced kind of environment, you're going to need other people and you're going to need to lean on those people. So look at that too and see where you're at. And if it's a place of, like low stress or low, it's a slower paced job, then you're probably not going to have the need for teamwork. Ultimately, this is probably going to wrap it up. Ultimately, you have to decide if where you are is the place for you. Is it worth fixing the culture or finding a place where you fit in? I don't have an answer for that for this caller, but I know that being somewhere that you don't want to be is the worst place you can be. And I know some of us do it for short term because of, life-changing things like maybe we have to take a different job that we don't want to take because there's no night shifts or there's no weekends, and I need to be available for my kid on Fridays because he's in high school football, or I need to be available for my kid during the week, so I'm going to work only weekends. And we all make sacrifices for our team, for our children and for our families, and even if it's in the short term. But I think ultimately we have to decide if where we are is where we want to be. And you may have to trade a good schedule. You may have to trade some pay. You may have to trade some benefits, for a better work environment if that's important to you. The best thing I can come up with is keep being you. Outwork everybody. Show them what it's like to be a high achiever. And if they don't like it, F them, right? Like, who gives a shit? Do you. Make it better. Be the person that you want to be, and show them what it's like. And if Karen wants to sit on her big ass and bitch about how you're outworking her, let her do it. Call me up. I'll come out and I'll help you outwork her. Like, I don't care. Like, I think it's great. Like, those are the people that you really kind of got to stick it to, because they are the people that will suck the life out of a team. If they're always constantly pissing and moaning and not putting forth an effort and dragging the team down. There's teams out there that have those people that will just suck the life out of them. And you know what? I think sometimes you got to throw them overboard. If they're in the lifeboat and they're not bailing water out of a sinking ship with you, that boat's going to sink a lot slower without them in it. And that's just the way it is. Those are my thoughts. I want you guys to come up with something to email me. How to get in touch with me will be at the end of this podcast. Let's help this person out. It sounds like they're really struggling with their work environment. And if you guys can come up with some better stuff than what I've thought of, which probably isn't hard, let me know and we'll pass it on. All right, that's all I got for now. Happy spring break. I guess when you guys hear this, everybody will be back from spring break. So I hope everybody got some rest and some sun and some warmth and some vitamin D, and let's get back after it. Work hard. Be kind. Hey, everybody. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Shift Change Podcast. As always, look for updates on our Instagram page at talk.shiftchange on Instagram, and email me with any questions, problems, concerns at talkshiftchange@gmail.com. Thanks, everyone.